Hey everybody, this is Dr. David Jockers, and today we're talking about 5 benefits of a healing diet. So, we really believe at drjockers.com that food can be used as your medicine in a sense. And the reality is the food that we put in our body is literally biological information for our DNA. So there's something called epigenetics, meaning the environment around our DNA is what actually dictates the way the genetics express themselves. When we provide an environment that teaches our body that nutrients are rich, that we have everything that we need, the DNA is going to express itself in a very positive manner and give us the kind of benefits, the kind of quality of life benefits that we really want in order to thrive. When we provide nutrients, or a lack of nutrients, I should say, and in a sense, when we cause physiological imbalances in our body through the food that we eat, it's going to actually teach the DNA to express poor quality genetics, or in a sense, express the fallacies of all of our defects. All of us have genetic polymorphisms called SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, and you can get a genetic test called a 23andMe genetic test, and you'll see all of them, but they don't express unless we provide an environment that is full of stress, lack of nutrients, and full of toxicity. So we're going to go into using diet in order to heal your body. And so let's jump into this. But before we do that, if you don't know me, my name is Dr. David Jockers. I speak all around the country at churches and organizations. And really my mission is to help people, really help empower people to reach their full health potential. So I love teaching, coaching, and educating, and that's why I do special events and workshops and also YouTube videos like this. I also am in a lot of online conferences, as you guys can see here. Many of you guys know me from things like Truth About Cancer, and I was in the Heal Your Gut Summit and many other different online events. And this is my beautiful family, my wife, Angel, and my twin babies, Joshua and David. And actually that backdrop is the Grand Canyon right at sunset. It was a beautiful picture. And what's most amazing is that not only did I get sunset, but I had both boys smiling at the same time. Unbelievable, truly a miracle from God. So let's jump into this topic. 5 benefits of a healing diet. Number 1, when we use nutrition, okay, and we use a diet that helps reduce inflammation and helps our body heal, these are the 5 big things it does. Reduce inflammation. Inflammation is tissue damaging, meaning that the body creates this inflammatory process in order to protect against infection. We know infection used to kill more people than anything else in the world. So the body has this built-in mechanism called inflammation to prevent against a chronic infection from getting out into our bloodstream and killing us in the immediate. So we can live a long time with inflammation. We just don't have quality of life. Inflammation damages our joints, our tissues, our arterial beds, creating things like arteriosclerosis. When it's our joints, it's arthritis. When it's our thyroid, right? We call it hypothyroidism, or sometimes autoimmune hyperthyroidism. When it affects our skin, it can be eczema or lupus or psoriasis. So inflammation affects us in a lot of different ways. Healing diet helps reduce inflammation, helps stabilize blood sugar, which is super critical to being healthy and well, reduces our toxic load. All of us are carrying a rampant amount of toxins. We've got to reduce that toxic load. It provides foundational nutrients for our body. Some of the biggest things people are deficient in are things like zinc, selenium, vitamin D, vitamin A. These are really critical nutrients. Magnesium is another one that most people are deficient in. And every day they walk around with this nutritional deficiency, they have more inflammation and more stress in their body, and they actually accelerate the aging and degenerative processes. So getting those foundational nutrients through good food is super key. And then it supports a healthy blood and tissue pH. Our blood should normally be at a pH of 7.365, and it has really tight buffering mechanisms to keep it that way. But when we provide a lot of acidic waste, for example, when our blood sugar's off, okay, and we're in this sugar burning, sugar craving cycle, we end up producing a lot of acid, okay, a lot of acid wastes, lactic acid, and different waste products that are very acidic on the body. So the blood will actually pull minerals like magnesium and calcium, sodium, potassium, out of the muscle tissue, out of the joints, like sodium out of the joints brings water with it, so the joints start to degenerate faster. Potassium, you pull that out of muscle tissue, and magnesium, and now you end up with really tight muscles and more pain in the body, oftentimes blood pressure issues, and it can cause a whole myriad of issues. If you pull calcium out of the bones, obviously you get weakened bones. This is what happens when we are producing a lot of acidic waste in the body. So let's use food as thy medicine, and let's figure out how to do this so we can get well. So let's look at a cell. We know a normal healthy cell should have optimal amount of nutrients getting in, and it should have the soft and permeable outer layer. And that allows the receptor sites, the little gloves on the cell, to receive the nutrients, get them in the cell. And then we should have good enzymatic and detoxification systems within the cell and good mitochondria to produce energy. And there's always waste when we produce energy, and then it helps to push the waste out of the cell. And this is a normal cycle, like a river. Nutrients go in, waste go out, and that just travels through the body. But when we have an unhealthy cell, when the cell membrane is damaged from inflammation, from bad fats that we're going to talk about, blood sugar imbalances, then we're not able to get all the nutrients in the cell. And if we don't get the right nutrients in the cell, now the mitochondria and the cellular engine, the cellular energy systems, are not going to have the nutrients they need to produce the right amount of energy. And if they can't produce the right amount of energy, they're going to have an overabundance of waste, and we're not going to be able to get that waste out. So now it's just this vicious cycle where we get more and more damage to the cell and the DNA. And that's the process that will cause these DNA mutations to express themselves, because there's just rampant amount of free radical and oxidative stress damaging the cell, the mitochondria, and the DNA. And we look at how our body works. I mean, we have 100 million cells that die every single minute. So these cells are constantly turning over. Our body is self-replicating and it's self-renewing. Our body does the healing without us being a part of it. We don't have to think about our heart healing, our liver healing, our red blood cells renewing. We don't think about it, but the body is doing it at all times. And you see this, that we have new skin every 4 weeks, every 28 days. In fact, that's the deep layer, because if you look at the actual outer layer of your skin, it's probably flaking off every 1 to 2 days. Our liver cells every 500 days, intestinal cells every 3 to 5 days, red blood cells every 3 to 4 months, white blood cells constantly every few hours. So the body is healing. We just got to provide the right environment for it to heal properly. And so when we do something like we do in our society, where we eat sugar, our blood sugar goes way up. Okay, and blood sugar goes up, it's going to stimulate the release of insulin. Insulin's job is to get the sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Why is that so important? Because elevated blood sugar is up so when sugar is elevated in your blood, it will bind to proteins and create sticky proteins, otherwise known as advanced glycolytic enzymes. So advanced A, glycolytic G, enzyme E, AGEs. These AGEs are extremely tissue damaging. They start to damage tissue and create oxidation and what we call glycolysis, or glycolytic damage of the tissues of the body. And so now we start to accelerate the aging process. So insulin actually takes sugar out of the bloodstream, so it helps prevent against the glycolytic process, and it puts it into the cells, where it can be used in another process called glycolysis, where we break it down and use it as energy. The issue is, when insulin's elevated, it promotes the release of inflammatory molecules from the immune system, inflammatory cytokines. So it increases inflammation in the body. So when we eat sugar, things that have a lot of carbohydrates, we end up creating this cascade of inflammation. On top of that, sugar also stimulates things like serotonin and dopamine, which make us feel good. And that can give us somewhat addictive properties, because dopamine is also, serotonin and dopamine are also released when we do things like cocaine and heroin and stuff like that. It's addictive. So we create this addictive chemistry, because now dopamine, serotonin shoot up, but they're only going to last for a little bit, because our body's under this overwhelming amount of inflammatory stress from the sugar. So we're not going to have the raw materials to produce them, to keep them elevated. So now they drop down, and now we're hungry again, and now we're craving sugar. And we kind of have this consistent cycle that goes on. It just really increases massive amount of inflammation and creates an addictive cycle. And so sugar is one of the key things we need to remove. And that's why a low carbohydrate diet can be so powerful for healing and for allowing the cells to heal and regenerate. And it's a key aspect of our healing diet. So 3 steps to a healing diet: reduce sugars and grains, number 1. Number 2, get rid of bad fat, which we'll talk about, and add in more good fat, the kind of fats we do want to eat. Number 3, change the meat that we eat. Get rid of commercialized animal products, which are loaded with hormones and antibiotics and all kinds of toxic debris that we don't want in our system, bad omega-6 fats. And instead, we want to use grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products where we're going to get the right fats. We're going to get a lot of different nutrients in those types of meats. That's what we're looking for with our animal products. So fats and oils, the ones we do want to use, which to eat. You can see right here, saturated fats, which we've been told are bad, but actually are extremely good for the body. In fact, we need these saturated fats to have good cellular receptor function. I showed that picture of the cell. We need those saturated fats. Without them, the cell becomes weak and much more penetrable by things like viruses. We're much more susceptible to viral infections when we don't have these saturated fats in our diet. So things like coconut oil or palm oil, MCT, medium chain triglyceride oil, really powerful for producing ketones. So really good stuff. From animal products, butter, grass-fed, of course, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, tallow, which is basically like a beef fat, schmaltz, which is chicken fat, lamb fat, duck fat, grass-fed dairy, eggs, meat, seafood, all can be really, really powerful. The kinds of fats that we find in these grass-fed organic sources are high in omega-3 fats, as well as good quality saturated fats. Many of the saturated fats are very small chain saturated fats like butyric acid, which are really good for our gut and really good for reducing inflammation in the body. So we want that. Unsaturated fats, these are ones that we don't want to cook with. We want to use them for like salad dressings, different things like that. Olive oil, olives and avocado oil, or just avocados, of course. Nut oils, so we can use nuts or nut oils like walnuts, pecans, macadamia nuts. Nuts and seeds in general, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. We never would want to cook with flaxseed oil. It's very polyunsaturated, which will damage when we cook it. So I've got to make sure of that. And then, so all of those things are great. Hemp oil, another one that's polyunsaturated, would never want to cook with it. Fish oil should actually be included in there as well, which is amazing. We never want to cook with it, of course. Okay, so which ones to ditch? Obviously, margarine or hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated fats. We've got to get rid of those. Things are really toxic and bad for the body. And then all of these really highly processed vegetable oils like canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, grapeseed, cottonseed, peanut oil, safflower oil. You'll see these things in a lot of processed foods. We definitely want to avoid these. If something says, hey, cooked in vegetable oil, you absolutely want to avoid it. These bad oils will damage your cell membrane and cause that stiff, rigid cell membrane that produces an unhealthy cell. So we got to get rid of these bad fats. We want to really, really focus on the good fats. And actually, we want to make sure that those good fats are the primary point of our diet. You can see the bottom of this food pyramid. We've got things like avocado, coconut, grass-fed butter, eggs, things like that. It should be the priority point, meaning we want to get the most amount of our calories from those good fats. Fats have 9 calories per gram, so we're going to get a lot of calories when we consume a lot of these, and that's where we want to get most of our calories. Somewhere between 60 to 80% of your calories you want to come from good fats. Then we add in some non-starchy vegetables, herbs, some good fruit. Berries are great. They're high in antioxidants, low glycemic. Lemons and limes are fantastic. No sugar in them, and tons of antioxidants like vitamin C and bioflavonoids, which enhance capillary permeability, allowing more oxygen to get out into the bloodstream and heal the body. And they also have tons of potassium in them, just so good for the body. We want to do a lot of good vegetables. You can add in small amounts of starchy vegetables as well, like carrots and sweet potatoes. Small amounts, not tremendous amounts. Beets, very rich in nutrients. Lots of herbs. The herbs really go underserved in our society. We want to use a lot of good herbs: oregano, basil, thyme, garlic, onions, ginger, turmeric, things like that, cinnamon. These things are awesome for the body. We want to look for opportunities to use those. Clean proteins, so grass-fed, organic beef and lamb and wild-caught fish and organic poultry. Things like that are amazing. So good nuts and seeds. We talked about a lot of those. Fermented foods, getting things like sauerkraut and kimchi and beet kvass and coconut water kefir, amazing for the body. And then using natural sweeteners, things like stevia, which is my personal favorite, using things like monk fruit, which is another great one. And then you can also use, small amounts of raw honey or coconut sugar. I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of those, but doing small amounts you'd probably be okay with. And you could look at some of these recipes. We got tons on drjockers.com. In fact, if you go there and you can actually download for free, it's on the top right-hand bar, are 10 fat-burning dessert recipes where you can learn how to make things like our chocolate coconut cups. And chocolate is raw chocolate, very rich in antioxidants, so good for the body. This is our coconut milk ice cream here on the bottom. And that's really what it looks like too. And it's very simple, only made with I think it's 4 ingredients, yet tastes absolutely amazing. No sugar in it at all. So definitely check that out on our website, drjockers.com. And then last but not least, make sure you're drinking a lot of water. When I say a lot of water, I mean a lot of water. For me personally, I drink about a gallon of water before I even eat a meal. So that's, in the morning, I'm just drinking. I'm cranking water. I'm doing herbal teas. I'm doing water with apple cider vinegar or lemon. I'm doing organic broth. And I'm drinking this. Lots of fluids, which are amazing for my body, help purge my system. And most of the time, I've got like salts in them and things like that because the electrolytes in the salts or in the broth will help provide energy. We're really hydroelectric beings, meaning that we can create tons of energy through water and electrolytes, not necessarily through food. So really try to focus on massive hydration, especially earlier in the day, because it will help with cleansing and detoxification. And our large intestine is most active between the hours of 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So drinking a lot of water and adding in some electrolytes, whether it's a little bit of Himalayan sea salt or drinking broth, can be really powerful for helping produce energy and stimulate the cleansing process, help you move your bowels and get toxic waste out of your system. So would highly, highly recommend that. Amazing for your skin, your immune system, amazing for your digestive system, for producing energy. So we got to stay hydrated. That's going to help you heal naturally. So also, we've got our Healing Diet shopping list on our website. So if you want a full guide on how to follow this healing diet, just go to drjockers.com, or really actually right underneath this YouTube video, I've got embedded the article that inspired this video right here. And at the bottom of that article is the Healing Diet shopping list that you can download. It's a free download PDF, so you can get your shopping list, so you know exactly the foods that are approved and in a sense the ratios of those foods and how to use them properly. So if you were to go to my website and search for this, you would just type in Healing Diet in the search box and you should be able to find it. So anyways, I hope you guys got a lot out of this training on the Healing Diet. And my hope and my prayer is that you put this into action so that you and your family can experience abundant health and the abundant life. God bless you guys. We will see you guys on an upcoming training. Have a great weekend.